Hi, this is Raj. Welcome to another video. I know I've not been there for a while. So let me just structure things a little first. Uh, yeah, that looks good. Yeah. So hi, this is Raj. I was away from keyboard for a while. I have been fighting. I mean, I took my MMA a short while ago and I just dislocated my shoulder, so I have more time to create more Emacs videos now. So yeah, that's what it is. Uh, we'll get into this later on in the introductory ramble. Let's keep the intro short. I have a whole bunch of another socials. So yeah, I mean, again, I'll get into this in the introduction. Uh, the intro, I'm gonna keep it short. Of course. So I'm back. I'm back. Let's get into what is the crux of this video. This isn't going to be a tutorial. I mean, I've I've been using Emacs in the wild, as the video says, for a while now. It's been sort of a good companion uh, during my work stuff, during just wandering around, yeah, just learning, cooking up new tools pretty quickly, that sort of thing. So what I plan to do here is not talk from an Emacs expert sort of overview, but then more of a vagabond in Emacs. It's more like you just vibe through it. I mean, in a good way, not yeah, not not the usual way. You're just trekking through the world of Emacs. You're just on a hike. So yeah, uh, to sort of do that, I am going to show you how one can sort of learn on the go, get good at Emacs on the go, and not have to invest explicit time into improving in Emacs. Of course, deliberate practice at anything is necessary. So from time to time, you will need to sort of get good with Lisp and stuff if you really wish to understand Emacs completely. I'm not my Lisp is a little rusty. I mean, there was a phase a couple of years ago when I used to dream in Lisp, but then I'm not that regular with it right now because I have a job and everything. So I hope to find a job where I can write in Lisp someday. But yes, so I wrote an Emacs package, and this video is going to cover how I reach how I converge onto the package. So it's going to be a more natural flow in terms of how 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 you observe repetitions in your usage, how you see uh, the places where you need to optimize things, uh, how you balance getting things done and doing things to get things done. I mean, we touch upon all of these in the video. Uh, I'll walk you through the code, how I reach the code, I'm actually not I'm not aware of Emacs terminologies, and I didn't even know how to insert text in a buffer programmatically before I wrote this package. So it's possible because Emacs is marketing itself as the self-documenting editor. Uh, that's how does it exactly do that, and how we can exploit that is what I'm going to what is that's the focus of this video. So the self-documenting editor, that is what we're getting into. And yeah, so we sort of minimize the use of external tooling and just see what 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 is the potential of Emacs for a user in terms of how it makes you learn it in a fun manner without having to explicitly think about investing effort. It makes it convenient. So that's what this video is about, how you can actually get started using Emacs and sort of evolve in the process. Now going from a user to become a modifier of Emacs. So writing a package is definitely a milestone for any Emacs user. And I mean, I chanced upon this idea. I never went into it thinking that I need to write a package. I mean, I was using existing tooling and I saw an opportunity as to how it would better my own workflows. So you need not write it for the community right away. You sort of edit it, you sort of iterate upon it in your own configs and everything, and then you see there's an opportunity to sort of distill it in a package. So that's the thought process that I wish to capture in this particular video. And yeah, so let's get into it. Excuse the whole awkwardness. I'm not even used to seeing myself without the beard in the camera and stuff. So we'll get into that in the introduction and everything. But yeah, let's get into it. So anytime you're using Emacs, yeah, there are as there are modes to your editor, there are a couple of moods which you can use to when you're using the editor. So exploration, exploitation. Exploration is when you do stuff that will help you do stuff quicker, getting stuff done quicker. And exploiting is just getting on with the job and like doing stuff. So balancing these is sort of important. What we are getting into right now is some time to get stuff done quicker. You'll have to sort of explore a little and yeah, yeah, get do sort of auxiliary stuff. So yeah, that's what this is about. And a lot of people complain that they don't want to get into the Emacs rabbit hole. I mean, I do have a couple of acquaintances who I've tried convincing to get into the world of Lisp and Emacs, and they're like, yeah, they don't want to dive into another rabbit hole and just get their job done. Valid point. But then, yeah, I mean, balance is of course necessary. I'll argue that the amount of effort you invest initially into any optimization does save you a ton later on. So yes, that's that. Moods of usage, not modes of usage, moods of usage. Balancing these is important, especially if you have a job, and if you're going to use Emacs on the job, which I've been doing for like a while now. I mean, it's been fun. Uh, Being disciplined is going to be necessary. So I mean, yeah, yeah. So we'll get into this. We'll get into this sometime. But yeah. So let's move on. Uh, some terminology, some some helpful stuff before we actually dive into what the practical stuff was. Emacs markets itself as the self-documenting editor, and it's the crux of it is everything that you need to know is a couple of keystrokes away. So if you're using Doom Emacs or vanilla Emacs, I think Control H works in both, but then I'm in Doom, so I'm going to use leader H, that's space H for me. If you hit space H, uh, it is a prefix to a whole bunch of help commands. So if you wanted to say search a variable, a command function, what mode you're in, if you want to do an online lookup, what a particular key is doing, that sort of stuff. It's yeah. So let's do a few quick examples. So for example, if I wanted to know what space HK is doing, I can I'm going to use that particular key for itself. Let's be a little self-reflective. I'll hit space HK. That prompts me to press the key about which I wish to know more, and I wish to know more about the stroke space HK, what it does. So I'm going to hit space HK again, and it's searching its documentation and everything. It's saying that helpful key, that's the command that it is if it's interactive, whatever, that sort of stuff you don't need to focus on right now. It's defined where exactly. So you could just jump to the function definition as well. I'm going to jump there. And yeah, show interactive help for interactive command bound to key sequence. So a particular key sequence that you take in as an input is going to show the help for it. That's nice. You could also read the function body and everything. We're going to pop out right now. So that's one thing. Let's say if you wanted to, if you know a particular functionality via keystroke, so Alt X or Meta X is something that everyone knows, but then I do not actually know what function it is bound to. I know it's a Meta X, but I know what it does. But I say I wish to replicate its functionality. I could use this particular functionality, uh, space HK, and I'm going to hit Meta X. So it's going to show me that this is an execute extended command. So it's again all the information that you need. So you could just read this, the documentation, everything is there. in different modes, maps, all that sort of stuff. It's out here itself. It's pretty accessible. I again can just pop into the source code as well, but I don't want to do that. Let's do that for a while. Yeah, there you go. You sort of analyze the code as well, popping back out. Yeah. The point is another good thing about Emacs is you don't need to remember the keystrokes as well. So if you know either the function or the command that you're doing, if you okay, functions are commands. Commands are interactive, so they have sort of an interactive tag in the function body in the beginning. And functions are something that just can be called programmatically. And in the Lisp quote unquote REPL, the Lisp, yeah, I mean REPL is sort of a stretch to say it's a REPL. Uh, the live Lisp image evaluator, the eval loop. Yeah. So you can yeah uh, you could you if you know the command if you know any one of the things, the key or the command, or if you know the name itself. Let's say okay, so now I know what execute extended command is. Let's say if I wanted to find the keystroke for it or something like that. So if I wanted to see what it actually does, I know the name, but I wanted to see the documentation. So I don't know it's bounded to meta-x. So I'm gonna hit space HF and I'm gonna go to execute extended command. I see that it is also bound to a space and a colon. So that's pretty handy. And I get the quick documentation as well pretty quickly. And I also see a whole bunch of other ways of executing commands. So there's from different modes. I see Cs or S. So there's like commands or functions. Functions usually have a convention of having a double hyphen in the end, double hyphen somewhere. Commands usually have a single hyphen to complete it all. Same goes for variables that are public and private uh, in this particular search mechanism. So yeah, let's hit enter, and there you go. You have the documentation again. So let's quit that. Now, you do not need to know all of these. What is great about Emacs is, or I mean, there's a okay. So there is a functionality called which key. So which key, given a prefix, it shows you all of the terminating suffixes and their commands and their respective commands. So I mean, I think you can configure it to get to the terminating suffix or just the next step as well. So let's say if I wanted to see what all space h prefix has to offer, I just hit space h and I wait. So that gives me a pop-up of all the possibilities that I can get into. So yeah, so let's see. 4 space h4 is a prefix, so there's more commands associated with that. But then other than that, you can see that I have space hr can give me an info manual. Space hm, a small m will describe the mode that I'm currently in. X will describe a command. And yeah, a whole bunch of things. The most handy one, if you don't know if you're looking for a command or a variable, if you just have the generic idea of what functionality you want or what you're looking for, is to hit space HA apropos. So you can search with the regex, regular expressions, whatever. Say I want to search for GPTL. That's the thing we're going to get into it soon. GPTL. I hit enter and I see all the variables, functions, everything that sort of match that. So yeah, let's say if I hit enter on one of them, I get to see stuff again. So yeah, there's that. Let's let's get out of that. Yeah. So remember the which key prefix, the which key functionality. It's like an operator pending mode visualized. So operator pending mode, the guys that you use the guys that use Vim is something like you've hit a prefix you've hit a keystroke or a sequence of keys that is a prefix of a terminating larger command, and the prefix could lead to a lot of terminations, different commands. If you wish to know which one it is, you just hit the prefix and you wait, and it pops up. So all of this timeout and everything is configurable. I am betting that if you, I mean, I'm sure that instead of a timeout, you could also have a fixed suffix, like a different sort of suffix which immediately pops it up and you don't have to wait. So if you're that impatient, you can also do that. Probably bind it to an F12 or something. So space H and F12 or something like that will give you the sort of which key thing. I don't do that. I'm patient enough, and like over time, you'll probably just see this once or twice for that particular prefix, but later on you'll soon grasp what those things are, and muscle memory kicks in. So, for example, it works for all sorts of all sorts of keybinds. I usually prefer space M to be my sort of local package specific or more specific prefix. So if I hit space M, it's going to show me what I'll have bound to it. So it's a whole bunch of org stuff, and I have space N as a whole bunch of my org roam stuff and agenda stuff, org agenda stuff as well. So yeah, I don't need to actually go around and remember these things. Uh, where you will actually need to sort of explore by yourself is the default key maps. So the default key maps, where packages don't actually where it's not a where it's not an external package which we know how to read and stuff. So for example, what I've been doing right now for a while is narrowing and widening the whole buffer subtrees. So MSN. So I knew that I so there's a warning every time you okay. So how you accidentally land upon this is you hit a Control X NN in vanilla Emacs and it says that this is a disabled feature. So you need to enable it and that sort of stuff. So you know there's a widening and a narrowing sort of thing. But then if you search for narrowing and widening, please search F narrow or widen. Yeah. So there you see that there are more handier Doom Emacs compatible key bindings for that. So this is what I discovered today. So I mean, on Emacs you're always learning. You don't have to. You're learning effortlessly is what I'm saying. So before today's video, I was doing a Control X NN and a Control X NW to widen and narrow. But then just today, while doing that, while I was playing around with these and like charting out the whole video, I thought let's apply it and see if there's a Doom friendly thing for that. So if I wanted to widen, I can do Control X N W. And I was honestly I was doing a visual mode and doing a Control X NN for widening and narrowing. But then there's a handier thing called an org narrow subtree. So if I hit space HF narrow to subtree, yeah, space MSN. So me leader MSN. That's what it is. So this is how you sort of improve your workflows. You iterate and you understand what can be done. Let's go back into it. Now I don't even have to use the visual mode. So life is easier. MSN. I'm back in. All right. So there we are. This is the stuff, and by the way, it's way more configurable than you can imagine. It's all code in the end, and if you learn some ELISP, you could do a whole bunch of things. For instance, let's just search Doom. Okay, online lookups. I mean, you probably shouldn't do this, but yeah, just to show, uh, you can hit space HO. Okay, I have a default search already setup. So to do that, I'm going to use the prefix key, like I think it's Control U and vanilla Emacs and space U and Doom Emacs. So if I hit space U, it resets the argument sort of thing. And if I hit space U space H O, okay, hold on, space U space H O. Yeah, now you can choose where I want to search. So let's say I want to search Wikipedia for Emacs. It is going to drop me into Wikipedia for Emacs. My Firefox is not loaded. Yeah, there you go. So that showed me the Emacs page. Yeah, very interesting. So yeah, I mean, everything is accessible at your fingertips, and this functionality as well. I discovered myself today. I mean, while I was going through the whole thing, I waited at the witch key and saw that this is online lookup thing readily integrated. So let's pop back. Let's go back to our stuff. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Now you know sort of how to move around in terms of keys and keystrokes and sort of finding a functionality pretty quickly in a handy way. There's that. Let's let's move on to the next node, testing in prod. So Emacs is a live Lisp image that your editor is a process. It's yeah. Stop thinking of it like a software. It's a live process that is helping you manipulate files and text. And yeah, so inserting text or typing something is a function that takes an input, your keystroke from the keyboard, and does something, and you see it on your screen. So this is your production. Your editor is your production environment. So because it's a live thing, I mean it's not critical. Let's hope your Emacs is not critical and you're not doing critical stuff on it. Emacs can be hot reloaded. So yeah, you make your changes in your config and you just hit reload or you evaluate the function and it is readily available in Emacs right away. So for example, I could just define a variable here. I evaluate it, and if I do a space HV, I have X in here. X is a custom defined variable. So there you go. X is a variable without a source file. Its value is 3. I could set it and stuff. That sort of stuff. So it's live. That's the fun of it. I mean, let's say if I define X as a function that just returns 3. I evaluate again, and if I do a free such f, and I see x is a function that returns a v, yeah, I mean just a function. So again, it's not defined. I just call x. So let's just, and I could evaluate it right away as well. I evaluate it, and the answer is 3. You could also evaluate it, I think, with the usual colon stuff, x 3. Yeah. So that's it. That's the liveness of Emacs. You could just, I'm over with my coffee. Yeah, you could just do stuff. I mean, you could just do stuff and see for yourself that it's immediately available. Uh, so that's the fun part of it. Now, remember that while I'm talking about how you sort of chance upon a package. All right. So now that we have the base setup as to how you can move around, what you can do, how you can iterate, this being a live image of a text manipulator. That's like testing in production. So it's fun. All right. So now let's get into the functionality that I'm going to replicate. Space so MSN. Okay. Yeah. Reverse engineering your usage. Yeah. Let's go back down the meta. All right. So you realize common occurrences, repetitions, and how you duct taped stuff together from your configs. Don't engineer right away. Try to distill them into a package. You optimize that over time, and you see more issues with it, and then you iterate. That's the general process. That's the general process of how you sort of improve your workflows. And I mean, you don't need to explicitly dedicate time to it. I would recommend you just do it based on your feelings. Let it carry you. I mean, at a moment, I don't spend. Okay, I talked about the two moods of usage: exploration. I mean, I'm usually in the exploitation mode, but then if I do hit an exploration mode, what I'll do is I'll first of all I'll capture the idea as to what I want to do, and if I'm doing something important, I'll just defer this. And probably on the weekend, I'll just collate them all together and see if those ideas are really valid and like I need to act on them. Otherwise, if it's like really good and I need to do something right away, uh, I'll yeah. I'll start charting out a strategy and everything. I'll start seeing how I'm doing things previously, and of course, also search for existing tooling out there and that sort of stuff. Because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You don't want to waste time. Emacs is something to get stuff done, not to play around with Emacs itself. So yeah, that's the thing. That's the complaint that I've been hearing the most for people not getting into Emacs. I mean, they've already invested a whole bunch of effort and when, why get into Emacs now? So I mean, yeah. Uh, so that's that. What I want to do now is all that we've collected up until now. So the which key stuff, the helping witches, your moods of usage, how you sort of Emacs being a live thing. You can evaluate stuff. You can just iterate upon them right away. You can test stuff out right away. Uh, Now you're gonna apply it as to how I actually get to building the package. So, all right. So there's this two things. I think I had this in the intro itself. Overview. Yeah. So Emacs, I wrote an Emacs package called fabric-gpt.el. So by the name itself, it's a combination of Fabric and GPTL. So Fabric by Daniel Miesler, yeah, there you go, is sort of a there's something that I've been using for a while. It's it's uh, it's the Unix philosophy way of using LLMs. You have inputs and outputs. You could just pipe stuff into the LLM thing. So the example that we see here right away is there's a curl. I think I don't know if you guys could control plus. Yeah, there you go. Okay, hold on. Not that. Not that. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, no. Anyway, so you could just curl stuff in. Yeah, I think that's better. You could just curl stuff in, pipe it into the Fabric command line, and use patterns of your own choice. So all of these are crowdsourced, and I've been using them for a while, and I sort of enjoy them. So I wanted these to be accessible in GPTL. GPTL is an LLM client for Emacs. Think. There we go. So it allows you to just use any LLM of your own choice with Emacs. So I mean these are the videos and stuff, but then I'm just gonna go for a live demo for you guys. So let's create a new tab and add space IGH. Yeah, let's. So this is my buffer. I usually use it in a buffer. Write an Emacs SA and hit space IGH, and it does its thing and just returns the responses. It writes them in here. So there we go. Excuse me. Yeah. So that's your basic GPTL stuff. Now, what you don't see is the configuration that goes behind it. We'll walk through the config, config. Yeah, there we are. Let's go to the GPTL section. Here we are, GPTL stuff. So what you don't see is I've sort of configured it a whole bunch for my own usage. I like using multiple backends. So I first of all I might use Gemini on some days or OpenAI on some days. I mean yeah. So quick switching between them is something that I first got into. So if you go to the website, you have different ways of initializing the backends. You have different ways of initializing the backends. If you have ChatGPT, you sort of make the backend in a different way. And if you have, say, Gemini, you sort of explicitly have to make the backend in a different way. I wanted to switch quickly. Say I wanted to use multiple LLMs via, yeah, in the same. I wanted it to be sort of handy, not just not alter code all the time. So what I did was I wrote a macro that builds the backend based on a variable, the GPTL provider variable, and I'm using Gemini right now. Sometimes I switch to OpenAI. Yeah. So and based on the provider itself, you could have a key value store. This is just a quote unquote hash table. So I'm just mapping OpenAI to what default model I want and Gemini to what default model I want, and I can use that hash table later on. I also have a whole bunch of prompts that I want to be able to use regularly, and these are important to actually show how my usage evolved over time and how I got into Fabric. So even before thinking of this whole idea of like using Fabric to for my own prompts, uh, first of all, how I set up a prompt is also important. So yeah. when I get into GPTL, first things first, I can set up multiple backends based on the provider that I have. So if it's an OpenAI thing, you sort of don't need to set up the backend. It's by default OpenAI. If it's not OpenAI, I just I intern the symbol GPTL provider, and I make a func call. GPTL make whatever the provider is. I intern that symbol after a format, and I get the respective function. So there's that. I don't If I just change Gemini to OpenAI and I reload the whole thing, it works. So that's that. That's the first thing. That's the first thing of say configuring stuff. So you identify your own use cases. In my first use case, I needed to switch providers pretty quickly. So you sort of start writing stuff around that, and you can Google as well. Of course, Googling and LLMs are fair game anywhere. Uh, so yeah, reading a string into a symbol, how you do stuff in here. My list was a little rusty, so this might not be the optimal code, but yeah, whatever. Uh, that's the first thing. Now the second thing is I have switched providers. Now I also wanted it to be handy to switch my prompts, my prompts. So how you usually do that is you set your system message. So I observed that in the config itself, which was published in the GitHub package, you sort of set it. Just it's a basic set queue. So quoted, it's a basic set. So yeah, so this is just, by the way, this Qadar ASOC is basically just a hash table retrieval of this particular key. So I initiate with a raw prompt, and yeah, I have a whole bunch of other things. So if I wanted to say alter these, I all I need to do, if I wanted a handy shift of a prompt, all I need to do is just retrieve the key that I want to switch to. And from this hash table, I can set my GPTL system message to that particular prompt. Yeah, so I could either do this ASOC message and stuff, or you write an interactive function where you just set that message to a particular prompt. So getting that input now is something that is important. So I wanted it to be a particular style. I didn't want to say type in the key every time. I wanted to be a fuzzy completer. And based on normal observation, you see that AltX or MetaX has your fuzzy completion engine. So what you do right now is you hit space HK, you hit AltX or MetaX. You see that this is in simple.el. You you go to execute extended command. Yeah, you go to execute extended command and you see how it is behaving. So hold on. Where is it? You could just see any one of them. Command cycle. Yeah, so how it is behaving exactly is what you can, let's close that out. And yeah. So you see how that is behaving. And hold on. Read a command, then read the arguments and call the command. So what I'm interested in right now is how it reads the arguments. So I want a fuzzy completer that way. And if you explore the code enough, yeah, yeah, okay, that's the jump. I didn't know why I was, okay, I think we already had it open. That's why I did not jump right away to it. That's right. Now, okay, now that we've jumped to it, Yeah, so we can read the documentation. Prefix argument. Okay. So provides completion when reading the command name, which completion characters are shown can be controlled by customizing that sort of stuff. What we need to get into is how it is actually reading stuff in a quote unquote completing manner. So if you sort of explore a little, or if you hit any one of your favorite LLMs, you could just find that it is a completing, completing read that is doing the whole thing. Or you could have just asked an LLM as well what to do. But then if you didn't have an LLM accessible, you'll understand that this completing read when you go through the code and stuff is what is doing the whole thing. So this is read the string in the mini buffer with completion. So that's that. Yeah, that is what I use to retrieve the key now, and then I write the function. Let's go back to our config prompt alter. Yeah, let's close this out. So the prompt alter functionality. It's a completing read. I'm giving the prompt and what I wanted to search through. So GPTL prompts hash table keys. Once I have those, I can set my GPTL message to the retrieved value from the hash table. So I've bound it to space IGAP. So that is out here, IGAP. You bind it prompt alter, and I can alter my prompts right away. So whatever I want, I have a completing read right now. So this is one thing that you learn by observing. So I did not know that you could do stuff like this right away. I did not have the knowledge of a completing read right away. But then I saw through Alt-X, Meta-X, observe that that's that. And the self-documentation aspect of Emacs helped me track down what particularly is the reading mechanism that an execute extended command is using. So that's how you track through how functionalities are replicated. Okay, so I'm just going to go with a raw command right now. I don't need to alter that. We're not using LLMs. All right, so let's hop back. So what I do is I just do I read it on a local variable. It's just a let, and yeah, I set the global variable to what I wanted. That's it. Simple stuff. So if I hit space IVAP, it's bounded, and I can alter my prompt pretty easily now. What you see right now is the foundations of my thought of needing more prompts. So I wrote these manually myself. Yeah, I've been writing these manually to sort of suit to my own workflows. But there's a whole bunch of other class of prompts that are very generic, and you sort of very handy, and you'll need them from time to time. That's where Fabric comes in. That's why I needed it in Fabric. So fabric patterns, they can range from they're like verb-based patterns mostly. You'll find a few actor-based patterns or personality-based patterns here and there, but then they're mostly verb-based, and they are mostly inclined towards programmers or cybersecurity and that sort of stuff. So this is what I like. This is how I like using stuff. For example, you saw an example with a curl. I I usually use it in Tmux via an echo. That's how I usually use it. It's Alt Enter. Yeah. Okay. So I hit echo, write an essay on Emacs Fabric, and I wanted to stream. So I just hit Fabric S, and it should stream it now. I think my connectivity is sort of an issue. So it streams stuff. So that's how I usually do it. Uh, you could you could also analyze the patterns. I think it's fabric-l less, yeah. So these are all the patterns that are out there. I wanted this particular functionality to be in Emacs in the buffer way that I'm used to. So that's how the whole buffer functionality sort of comes in. Uh, when I'm using an LM in Emacs, EFIGH. Let's go back to our own the initial environment that we were in. Yeah, okay. So okay, whenever I am using say LLMs in Emacs, I prefer copy pasting stuff. I mean, I know I could just rewrite stuff here as well. There's a whole GPTL menu and everything with existing prompts as well. But then I prefer it to be used in this sort of natural text manipulation manner. Inputs, outputs, interfaces. I like keeping it uniform. Moving around is much simpler, and I don't have to remember a whole bunch of other keywords. So what I do now is, let's say if I wanted, I copy the whole text usually. Vim sort of comes in handy all the time, and without without uh, without Fabric or something like that, I usually would write a prompt here. Write a summary for the following outline. I don't need to select it all. The context is just everything preceding the cursor and the buffer. That's how I usually use it. I hit space IGS and it's going to start query, and it starts generating the text. So that's the summary. Because my prompt is be precise, it's sort of short, so that's nice. So let's say if I wanted to alter the prompt, I spice. Okay, hold on. I hit P instead of IGAP. Let's say I wanted to alter the prompt. I hit space IGA. I hit space IGS again. Okay, I need to understand my ring finger and little finger are different. IGAP. Yeah, I alter the prompt. Let's say I want a rhetorician. Yeah. Let's say I want to make a good case for Emacs. I wanted to use ethos, pathos, logos, all that sort of stuff. I hit space IGS and yeah. So it's gonna start presenting Emacs in a way to find to sort of convince the audience. Rhetorics using rhetorics. So there's that. That's nice. Designed to intrigue and inform the audience. So yeah, let's say I want to use another prompt. I want it to be say software engineering oriented. So I hit space IGS and it's gonna start okay. Yeah, reverse engineering and stuff. So it's a software engineering themed sort of view. All right. So what you've been noticing right now, I am altering a global state, a global prompt variable again and again with my space IGAP. And that is an opportunity for improvement. Uh, And also, I also had to type this particular format in. There's this prompt in, write a summary, and then sort of assign it a personality and everything. And then I hit space IGS. So there's too much repetition, like a too much meta repetition. Like there's a higher level repetition, high level in the sense of at the lowest level I'm doing different things, but there's a pattern to it. There's a pattern to my behavior. I first of all want an active prompt that is easily accessible. That is, say, I want an essay instead of summary. I'll have to change this prompt. So I want to be able to select between writing an essay or a summary or say a different sort of analysis pretty easily. And I also want my base prompt to be sort of different pretty quickly. So that is where Fabric comes in. Now the next thing is you sort of start. This is where I sort of start analyzing what I need to do. Uh, so the handiest, okay, so the next step right away is before optimizing this, uh, I wrote another way to use GPTL. So rather than just altering prompts and hitting space IGS, I understood that let's say the prompt can be because the context of this whole LLM thing is going to be anything that precedes itself in the buffer. I wrote a few functions, interactive commands that just insert a heading in the buffer, and they set the GPTL message for that particular for that particular GPTL send to a particular prompt, and they don't affect the global state. So right now, this is going to be a software engineer. This is a software engineer. But let's say if I wanted an epistemological overview, I could just I bound this to I think space IGIE, I think like that. So space IGIE is going to give me an overview with that particular prompt and epistemological engineer. So that's what I get. Key concepts, evaluation, structure, all sort of stuff. let's say I wanted an overview from the perspective. I wanted a systems breakdown for this completely. So I have bound it to space IGISB, and I'm using the system strategist prompt. So even right now, if I check my prompt, GPTL system message, yeah, it's an experienced software engineer. I use the epistemological engineer prompt without changing the global state. So that's a step up. That's a step up. So I sort of learned the pattern of using a let over a GPTL-send, which is undocumented by the way, uh, to sort of use my own to sort of fabricate my own ways of using GPTL. Now let's say it so it scales. So but then another thing is I have to write these functionalities again and again. I mean, of course, I'm writing it for different. I just write the function once, but yeah, I mean it's again maintenance work and it does not scale. So right now we've solved the issue of like being efficient, but in scaling that efficiency to any new prompt that I want. Say for example, let's just finish off the systems breakdown first. CSIGISB. So that's going to initiate a systems breakdown. So it just creates a new heading that I want a systems breakdown, and because it's the context and everything, my my Emacs my LLM client is going to take that. GPT is going to take that, and it's going to break down everything. So it breaks down the components. It's also going to give me a plant YAML sort of thing because I have sort of inserted that in the prompt that I want a plant YAML breakdown whenever I'm going for a systems breakdown. So let's do that. Explode board and hit Control CC. It should complete. Did I get an image? Did I get an image? Oh, it's not org plant YAML. Yeah, the CC. Other syntax error. Forget that. But yeah, yeah, there you go. Even though there's syntax error, you can see the images out there. So yeah, it's that sort of handy usage that I'm going for. So again, you see a problem that this is not scaling well. I mean, it's efficient, but it's not scaling. So now, now I see an opportunity. I know how to do a completing read. I know how to use prompts in an ephemeral manner without altering my global state. So I just use let over a GPTL send. And I know that if I have a collection of prompts, I could just do a completing read over that, set up a whole bunch of context, and do a quick send, and that gives me an opportunity to use crowdsourced prompts. So what I did next is where I started thinking about how I want GPTL Fabric GPTL to function. So let's dive into the code for that. And again, I've installed this package, so I'm not gonna go to my development directory. I'm just gonna go to the directory where it is installed to show that Emacs can sort of help you explore packages right away. I hit space IGF, okay, not IGF, space HF, and let's say Fabric GPTL is what I wanted to go. Fabric GPTL send is a function I expose. I go to the directory where it is. Let's close the other things. And what I have here is the package overview. I'm defining a bunch of globals, private globals, which I want to use. So I'm going to fetch the prompts first from the main repository, the GitHub repository. I only want that particular directory, the patterns directory. So I'm in the patterns directory. I don't want this other stuff because like I'm not going to be using that. I don't want the Go code. Yeah, I just want the patterns. So a quick Google or I think in this case it was Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow sort of showed me that you could do a no cone sparse checkout to get only a particular directory with just a depth 0 or 1 whatever. And you can save on space by not having a bloated Git directory because we don't need the history in this manner. Of course, you can sync it again and again. I've exposed the function for that too. But yeah, so this particular part of say now my objective is sort of getting clear that I need to say sync a directory, fetch a directory and stuff. LLMs can come in out here and sort of help me out. Yeah, I sparse pull the fabric patterns. I have my globals out here. After a few prompts and everything, or like Now you still have to edit the code, but then after understanding what you want to do, how you just say how you progress, how you yeah how you shall execute a command and that sort of stuff. It's just basic Git commands. So a no cone sparse checkout is what you're doing here, and I have the fabric patterns loaded in my Doom config files. So there we go. Yeah, in my config files, I have the patterns loaded. This is a Git repository, by the way. If I hit space gg, it's going to show me what all I have in here. If I hit space ll, that's the history. So it's actually a Git repository. You can sing this. I've bound that to I've bound that to a function which you can just again use to a keystroke. So you can stay up to date with crowdsourced patterns. This solves the scaling issue. Now I can use scaling issue in the sense that I can use any of the patterns out there without having to write them myself. So I wrote an epistemological engineer, I wrote a software engineer, that sort of stuff. So yeah I could just use patterns that are crowdsourced and like they're good quality. I mean, I've been using them for a while. They're nice. And I can use that in Emacs. We'll get into that soon. So putting everything to use that we've learned. So patterns has all those sort of prompts and everything that I need. If you observe a little more and let's say dive into one of these, you see that there is a system MD. So a markdown file that contains the prompt. This is what we actually want. So Going back, going back to fabric-gpt.el, yeah, there we have it. I have a sparse. Now I have the patterns directory. I have it. The next step is to sort of collect them in a list so that I know which I know in a list with their paths and everything, so that I know where to load the pattern from, where to load the prompt string from. So that is again a simpler thing that I mean that's So what I do in this case is I check if the directory really has a system.md, and I wasn't doing this before. So this is a filter. I mean, I do program in Common Lisp a little, so this is a CL remove if not is a filter. Uh, if you guys come from the functional programming aspect, so yeah, I just see if exists p is a predicate to see if that file exists. I think I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to enable word wrap now. I think now you can see it better. Yeah. So I see if that file exists. If that is the case, I just set my patterns list to an ls and a filter. So an ls of the whole directory gives me the names of the patterns because the directory names are the pattern names, and I do a filter based on if those directories have a system prompt, a system.md. And then yeah, that's what I have now, and I just yield that to my package variable, package level variable. All right, so that's how I fetch the patterns. We synced them, we fetched them. Now we're getting the let's now I break things down. I first try yielding a prompt rather than just explicitly writing the whole thing in the send itself. So you break down functionality so that it could be reused again and again. Let's see if I wanted a different kind of send later on, I could just reuse this. So to yield it, I use the completing read, which I found out about from the space HF of a metax or an execute extended command. That's where I found it from. So there's that. Now this yield prompt gives me an overview of all the prompts that I have in a completing read manner, in a fuzzy manner. So then I can use this in my basic send function. Yeah. So finally, I'm using a let over my gptel-send because I learned that I could save my global state, not alter my base prompt, and have gptel-send local specific prompts I'm just using that via a yield prompt. So I get the prompt. It prompts me for completing read and everything. I set that to the GPTL message, and it is a scoped GPTL-send. So that's the whole overview, the whole thing. That's how I thought into it. And plus, okay. So the other stuff out here is yeah. I think when I initiated a package and everything, Emacs did this for me. I did not have to yeah, I do not have to type this manually. So all of these comments and everything, I don't have to type these manually. So these are that's some boilerplate that I don't know how that was generated, but yeah, Google away. So yes, I think we're closing to it, closing into it. Okay, now that we have this whole thought process sort of charted out, let's go back to our okay, yeah, all right. We've done the whole thing. This is what I was supposed to cover on this end. I think yeah, this is what I was supposed to cover the whole application, searching providers, then searching prompts, and then seeing what I need to sort of extract, uh, observing where I can have the patterns, checking them locally. We walked through the code and everything, ephemerality of the let doesn't dirty my state and everything. We've done that. We've done that in a practical manner without having to sort of be a presentation and stuff. All right, we can move. We can move. Okay, my little finger and my index finger are still messing it up for me. We can move on. Yeah, structuring the package, we got into that. All right. Before that, yeah, before that, how it actually feels like, you when we use it now. That's it's all coming together. Okay. So this took me around 5 hours over the span of 2 days, by the way. So yeah, it's not the perfect it's not the perfect package out there, but it does the job and it sort of helps me out. So all right, I I hit let's go to my LLM buffer. Let's clear out the context, and let's say I want analysis of this. Okay, now I usually would have just entered the prompts and hit hit enter and stuff. I instead do a fabric gpt.el-send now. So I had space IGFF that's bound to a prompt yield. It's going to give me access to all of the prompts that are out there in Fabric when I showed you a Fabric list, a Fabric dash L, and a less. So all of these prompts which have a valid system MD are going to be accessible to me. Once I have that, it's going to if I select one of these, it's going to yeah. Let's scroll all the way. That's nice. There's 211 prompts. So that's the scaling that has been solved. If I ever need to sync and stuff, yeah, that's the scaling that has been solved. Okay. So now if I select one of them, let's say, and this is the fuzzy completer, by the way. So if I what would happen in a Fabric if tab completion did not work in the CLI? But this is a fuzzy completer. Completing read is a fuzzy completer. So if I just hit a summary, I get all the prompts that are sort of going to be a summary. Let's say I want a 5 sentence summary of the whole thing. I hit enter, and this is going to be a scoped GPTL-send, and I get a 5 sentence summary. 5 levels of summaries about Emacs. Oh, a 5 sentence summary is like I think it's a summary in 5 words, 4 words, 3 words, and 2 words. That's nice. Let's try another one. I do a space IGFF, and let's say I want to write an essay. I could write LaTeX. Oh, writing LaTeX is sort of handy. Let's do that. It's given me a whole LaTeX article. Now yeah, it's I don't know what to say. This is like insane. I mean, I haven't experienced levels of productivity that I'm experiencing right now. It's yeah. Let's do something else as well. The scaling issue has been like solved. Let's do a space IGFF, and let's do what? Let's create tweets. Yeah, there you go. I, I just dropped a new video about Emacs in the wild. Learn how I navigate Emacs for my workflows, reverse engineer my usage, and even build my own package. This is sort of insane. I mean, it's been just understanding that I could just yeah. So the overview of it, we'll get into the introduction. This is how it feels like, and I yeah. I mean, it's been saving me so much time. I don't know what to say. Plus, these are crowdsourced prompts, so they're like high quality. And yeah, I mean, to say the least, I'm sort of happy. I'm happy about having writing my own package. It's like a milestone when you're writing a package. When you're writing a package for whatever tool you're using. So I mean, it's a thing about for Vim as well and for Emacs as well. I mean, you've been a Vim or an Emacs user or NeoVim if you're a NeoVim guy or gal. Writing a package is sort of a different milestone. I mean, you're a quote unquote modifier now, not just a user of existing packages. So it's a different thing. And to actually be able to use it in your day-to-day life with this regularity is sort of I don't know. I was ecstatic to say the least. Uh yeah. All right, we're nearing the end. Let's close that out. So that's it. This is how my workflows are right now to work with an LLM. So it, yeah, I mean it's 4 stars. Let's show you the functionality of doing an online lookup. It's a GitHub repository where fabric-gpt.el, right? Yeah, I can do handy stuff. So let's select a word and I do a space U and a space which capital O and I want to search it on GitHub and it drops to the GitHub fabric-gpt.el. There it is. So yeah, that is how sort of it's got 4 stars, so it's four more than expected. So that's nice. Uh, yeah, this is how Emacs sort of gets out of your way, sort of assists you on the way in learning new things and makes life easier. It's fun to use. It's productive, and contrary to popular belief about it being sort of a for time sink, it saves a whole bunch of time. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a Lisp god. I'm not a Lisp god. Uh, but yeah, it's I mean, I've dabbled a little bit in Lisp here and there. I mean, I've done SICP and stuff. Uh, to be able to be productive and actually create something of use is to rather than saying more about my competence, this is saying more about the ease of use of Emacs. So yeah, that's why you should get into Emacs. I hope this is by the way how I actually think and use Emacs during my day-to-day life. And yeah, this was Raj. I'll see you in the next one. But before that, I promised I'll give you a few overviews. Uh, if you stuck through all of this, you are a dedicated viewer. I was AFK for a while. I've been prepping for a fight. I've been doing MMA for a couple of months now. That's why the whole beard and hair are like sort of out. Because like they yeah, I mean it's not good when you're like sparring or I don't know, sweating too much or like jumping rope, doing stuff. Yeah, so I got rid of them. This will grow back pretty quickly, so not an issue. But yeah, I had a shoulder dislocation a few days ago. I was yeah, I mean it's a bad right hook. I ducked rapidly and hooked at the same time with a bad angle, and my shoulder popped off. And the first shoulder dislocation is supposed to be very painful. So it's recovering. I can't lift my hand quite a lot, but then I can type. So grateful for that. I get to spend more time writing and blogging and like I don't know with the Emacs on the computer. So that's nice. Uh, it's recovering. Probably every day is going to be leg day for a while now. I mean, I'm training my other 3 limbs. So yeah, my left was weaker than my right, so I guess it's an opportunity to catch up. So that's nice. And leg day, yeah, every day is leg day, so that's nice. Uh, yeah, I'm doing capoeira for a while. I've been getting into it, practicing the junga and the other stuff. I don't know how to say these things yet, so it's just been like 2 or 3 days. But yeah, so so yeah, that's mostly it. That's mostly it. I have increased the amount of socials I want. I have an Instagram. It is at ln2.thebitmage. By the way, it's an entropy wordplay. If you multiply the number of bits by the natural logarithm of 2, you get the number of nats. That's entropy in that's the natural unit of information. So that's quote unquote the nat mage. But then yeah, ln2 dot the Bit-Mage will also allow me to sort of have a subdomain down the line if I ever want to. So I thought rather than having the nat mage, why not just have the Bit-Mage preceded with ln2 dot. So that's sort of nice and nerdy if you're into it. Other than that, I do have my vlogs, so where I talk more about the stuff that I rambled about for the past 2 minutes. They're unlisted videos, so if you're into that, go ahead. I do blog as well. I philosophically rant about tech, so there's that. I have the brain dump. That's where everything that I do, not everything that I do, probably 40-50%, probably I think 30-40% of whatever I explore intellectually goes in there. It's a whole bunch that I don't put in there. Uh, of course, if I don't put it in there, I can't see why I don't put it in there. So there's that. And yeah, I have a Goodreads to do check out my Goodreads and at Twitter. Twitter is where I don't know, I check tech stuff. Uh, yeah, GitHub as well. So I think that's it. That's the introductory ramble. I hope this is a good overview of what do you think Emacs feels like? So yeah, that was a long one. That was a long one. I'm sort of tired. I need to get more coffee. I need to, yeah, get more water as well. Anyway, this was Raj. This was Raj. See you on the next one. You should be seeing me more, or like at least my blogs. I should be blogging more because a lot of my training time has sort of been freed up because I need to rest for a while. Uh, yeah, thanks for tuning in. This was how I use Emacs in the wild, how I think about it, how it sort of helps me learn Emacs, how Emacs is a self-documenting editor. And this is a pretty long one. It's been 1 hour and 6 minutes. So yeah, good luck. If you stuck through, you're like, yeah, you're good. You got good attention span. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you in the next one.